It's a complicated matter, but what is clear is that the current reality is unsustainable and that what we want to advocate for is a transparent and fully democratic process.
A referendum on the ballot will ask Puerto Ricans to choose between statehood, independence, or independence with free association. In El Barrio, we found overwhelming support for Puerto Rico becoming a state. Do you think it would be better if Puerto Rico is the 51st state?
Yes, they belong here. I think it's good for us.
We're back with The Big Deal. I'm Errol Louis. The future of Puerto Rico will once again be on the ballot this November. And for the first time ever, the island's current status as a U.S. territory will not be an option. On the referendum, 3 options will appear. The first is statehood, meaning Puerto Rico would become the 51st state. The second is independence from the United States. And the third and last option is independence with free association, meaning the island would become an independent sovereign nation but maintain a political association with the U.S. But no matter what voters choose, the referendum is non-binding, and any permanent changes to the island's status as a territory would require action by Congress. So while the island's future is important to its nearly 3.2 million residents, it's also on the minds of nearly 6 million Puerto Ricans who live all around the country. They make up the second largest population of Hispanic origin, with concentrations in states including Florida and New York. Spectrum News political reporter Ayanna Harry takes a closer look in this report.
What do you love about Puerto Rico?
Everything. Everything. It's my island.
East Harlem, New York City, a community known as El Barrio. Here, the sights, sounds, and flavors of Puerto Rico run deep.
I love my island.
For decades, El Barrio has been a starting point for Puerto Ricans moving from the island to the U.S. mainland. With Puerto Rico's current status as a territory of the United States, people born on the island are U.S. citizens, but they do not enjoy full citizenship rights like the ability to vote for U.S. presidents.
We do not pay federal taxes, although local Puerto Rico taxes are extremely high. And there's a lot of other issues, right, that impact us.
And one question has dominated Puerto Rican politics for generations.
I don't know why, and nothing has been resolved about it.
Should Puerto Rico become the United States of America's 51st state?
Yeah, I would like it in the future. Why not? It's better for us.
In November, voters on the island will have a chance to have their voices heard. A referendum on the ballot will ask Puerto Ricans to choose between statehood, independence, or independence with free association. In El Barrio, we found overwhelming support for Puerto Rico becoming a state. Do you think it would be better if Puerto Rico is the 51st state?
Yes, they belong here. I think it's good for us.
The 7th referendum on Puerto Rico's political status since 1967, the November vote will be a non-binding referendum. It comes with a $1 million price tag, and no matter how Puerto Ricans vote, there will be no change to the island's status. That would require an act of Congress, and previous efforts in Washington have made little progress.
The only way we're going to arrive at a solution is once Congress decides that this is an important issue to discuss.
A former speaker of the New York City Council, Melissa Mark Viverito, is proud of her Puerto Rican roots. After watching the island struggle for years under financial strain and the effort to rebuild after Hurricane Maria, Mark Viverito believes a non-binding vote is counterproductive.
It's a complicated matter, but what is clear is that the current reality is unsustainable and that what we want to advocate for is a transparent and fully democratic process.
Ayanna Harry, Spectrum News.
Joining me to talk more about Puerto Rico's political status is Ybeth Bruzual, an anchor for Spectrum News 13 in Orlando, Florida. And Ybeth, the upcoming referendum will be the 7th time that voters have been asked to determine the island's political relationship to the U.S. The last time this was asked on a ballot was in 2020, and back then more than half of the voters were voting in favor of statehood. Why is this question coming up yet again?
Okay, so I know we have limited time, but we can honestly do a 1 hour or 2 hour show on this. These referendums are a joke. Not my words. This is what a lot of people in Puerto Rico refer to when they talk about a referendum. Let me explain. This is nothing more than a poll. As you pointed out, the referendum non-binding, meaning this cannot be legally enforced. Okay, so past referendums have created a lot of headlines. Yes, politicians get in front of podiums, they talk a lot, they have rallies, they're shouting, they're screaming, and in the end, nothing substantial happens. So it's a presidential election year. And even though people in Puerto Rico cannot vote for U.S. president, and we're going to get to that in a moment, it is an election year, and a lot of folks who are from Puerto Rico live in the mainland, and so they go back and forth, and it's just a lot of people are saying is a campaign ploy.
Interesting. And so now, why is the status quo, remaining a U.S. territory, not one of the options on this ballot referendum, on this sophisticated poll, if you want to call it that? And what does it say about the current relationship between the island and the U.S.?
You know, I grew up in Puerto Rico, and what I'm about to tell you now, which is a hot topic in 2024, was a hot topic then. So as the years go by, so many things have not changed. It would allow the people of Puerto Rico to vote, as I mentioned just a second ago, for President of the United States if there was some significant move. Currently, as I mentioned, that is not allowed, which is why there is, for some people in Puerto Rico, not all, but for some, a sense of resentment toward the U.S. They feel some taken advantage of. Some point to the following: Puerto Ricans can serve in the U.S. military. Yes, they can take a bullet for the U.S., of course, but they cannot vote for the highest office in the land, and that is very offensive and hurtful to some. Becoming a state would also help residents on the island receive equal funds. We're talking Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, Social Security, things that if you live in Puerto Rico, you get less of. If you live in the mainland, you get more of. So part of the argument would be, you know what, if it becomes the 51st state, you would get all of that lump sum, you would get more help, and people in Puerto Rico could be doing better than what they are right now.
Right, and you get 2 senators too, which is not a small thing at all. Now, because it's a territory and not a state right now, Puerto Rico has no electoral votes, as you're suggesting, and the island's residents cannot vote for president. Where do the presidential candidates stand on the island's political future?
Okay, so we have heard various things from former President Donald Trump on the future of Puerto Rico, or whether it should become a 51st state or not. Kamala Harris was just there a few months ago. I was actually in Puerto Rico and brought some of the coverage there. I was there just for personal reasons. It just happened to coincide with her visit. And I spoke to some of the people who are visiting the island and some of the locals. Even those who are visiting Puerto Rico. I spoke to a woman from California. She did not have flattering things to say at all about Kamala Harris. And she said the following, and other people also were criticizing the Republicans, just to be very clear. They said time and time again, people of high, political ranks come to Puerto Rico. They have lots of fundraisers, but in the end, they feel like the recovery efforts hasn't moved fast enough. Hurricane Maria, we're coming up on the 7-year anniversary this month. And they just, at the end of the day, the common denominator, no matter the party affiliation, they say not enough is being done for Puerto Rico. Why isn't there more help coming? But it's election season, so here we are with another poll.
Thank you so much, Ybeth. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.